Paul Jones has managed assassin number 1 for some time, and together they've waged war against the boogie woogie man Jimmy Valiant. Their bond has seemed to be unbreakable, but tonight that bond shatters. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Tyler Vance Rants. I am your host, Tyler Vance himself, and you're not. It is October 27th, 1984. Last week in the National Wrestling Alliance, the main event for the upcoming Starrcade 84 was revealed, as the American Dream Dusty Rhodes will challenge the Nature Boy Ric Flair for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Not only will the winner be the new champion, but they'll also be awarded $1 million. In the World Wrestling Federation, the cousin of Jimmy Superfly Snuka, the Tonga Kid, defeated the Executioner and once again demanded to face off against Rowdy Roddy Piper inside the squared circle. We'll tune into WWF Championship Wrestling first this week and see if the Tonga Kid gets what he wants, as Vince McMahon and the living legend Bruno Sammartino greet us on commentary. The first match is a singles match between John Callahan and the Junkyard Dog, and immediately sees Callahan attack the rabid animal as he's attempting to enter the ring, but only gets fought back with a couple of punches from Junkyard Dog along with a headbutt. A forearm from JYD causes John Callahan to crash and burn, followed shortly thereafter by a shoulder tackle, securing the 1-2-3 for JYD. The WWF update is next, and this week Lord Awful Alfred Hayes focuses on Kamala, stating that the Ugandan Giants manager Freddie Blassie has a specific destiny in store for his client.
That is 400 pounds and 7 feet of crushing humanity. Now Blassie plans a very big destiny for Kamala.
That destiny is destroying the imposing eighth wonder of the world, Andre the Giant, and if he's not careful, Andre just may end up as Kamala's next entree. Quick Draw Rick McGraw takes on Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff one-on-one next, and as Mr. Wonderful makes his way down to the ring, the animals in the crowd immediately get on his case with those annoying Paula chants.
And it could very well be that McGraw has the upper hand if in fact
A flurry of fists from both competitors starts the match off. And from there, a huge backdrop from Paul Orndorff sends Rick McGraw into a spiral of despair that Quick Draw can't climb out of. An attempt at head scissors ends up only with Rick McGraw being draped over the top ropes neck first, courtesy of Paul Orndorff. And from there, Mr. Wonderful finishes off Quick Draw in quick fashion following a pile driver. More singles action is next, and this time David Sammartino faces off against Charlie Fulton. After a couple of arm drag takedowns, David Sammartino is able to keep Charlie Fulton in trouble with a shoulder lock. A body slam to Fulton follows before Sammartino once more resorts to the arm drag shoulder lock combination. A power slam then secures David Sammartino an easy victory over Charlie Fulton. Mario Mancini and Tony Garea face off against the WWF Tag Team Champions, Adrian Adonis and Dick Murdoch, in a non-title tag team match next. And to me, it seems that Garea goes through tag team partners like he's changing his underwear on a daily basis. Garea is the problem. I've been saying this for months. Adonis hits Garea with an impressive head scissors, but then gets caught by the Kiwi and body slammed. From there, Adrian Adonis is punched into the ropes and gets tangled up in them. Using that unfortunate set of circumstances to his advantage, that coward Tony Garea then throws Adonis shoulder first into the corner. Murdoch gets the tag, but only ends up in Garea's abdominal stretch. Thankfully, the WWF Tag Team Champions look out for one another, and Adrian Adonis is able to interrupt the submission before something tragic happens. Fleeing for his life, Tony Garea then tags in the not-so-Super Mario Mancini, who only ends up getting dominated by both the WWF Tag Team Champions, losing the effort quickly for his team following an elbow from Adrian Adonis off the top rope. You're a loser, Garea! You couldn't hack it on commentary, and now you end up ruining every single tag team partner you bring into the ring. It's time to do yourself a favor and hang up the boots. Piper's Pit is next, and this week's guests are the beloved Captain Lou Albano, along with his client, the new WWF Intercontinental Champion, Greg the Hammer Valentine. Rowdy Roddy Piper and Greg Valentine have had bad blood since their last encounter all the way back in November of 1983 at the inaugural NWA Starrcade event, where during their dog collar match, Roddy Piper sustained an injury to his left ear and ended up losing 50% of his hearing. Thankfully for us, Captain Lou Albano is an excellent negotiator, and he knew that there would still be animosity between both Piper and Valentine when agreeing to appear on Piper's Pit with his client. So, using that knowledge, the captain is able to negotiate not only a truce, but peace between Roddy Piper and Greg Valentine.
Why don't we get together and bury the hatchet here? I wish that I could have managed you as a combined effort. Yeah. Oh! It is a pleasure to be here with you, Valentine, because I know what a man you are.
Where would we honestly be without Captain Lou Albano? Thankfully, it's a world I never have to experience, and I would never want to. Long live the captain. Mr. Italy Salvatore Bellomo takes on luscious Johnny Valiant's new client, Brutus Beefcake, immediately following Piper's Pit, and Valiant immediately gets to work by distracting Bellomo from outside of the ring, so Beefcake takes advantage and hits the Italian from behind. Shortly after that, a knee to Salvatore's face not only makes him uglier, but also secures Brutus Beefcake the 1-2-3. The main event of WWF Championship Wrestling is another singles match. The Tonga Kid gets his wish as he takes on the host of the show that he interrupted 2 weeks in a row, Rowdy Roddy Piper. The Tonga Kid really lived up to his name because it just goes to show you that if you whine and cry, throw your hands and stomp your feet, and just generally complain, you too can get anything you want. Well, the Tonga Kid is about to get the beating he never received as a child, courtesy of Roddy Piper. Even before getting into the ring, Hot Rod trips up Jimmy Superfly Snuka's cousin as he grabs the kid's ankles, and then lays into Snuka's cousin just the same way that he laid into Superfly himself. Roddy Piper then goes for a clothesline, but the Tonga Kid dodges it, who then hits a crossbody of his own, which only results in a 2 count. In response, Hot Rod smashes the kid's head into the corner turnbuckle. But this only seems to infuriate the Tonga Kid, who then in turn smashes his own thick skull into Roddy Piper's. As the Kid comes off the ropes again, this time Rowdy Roddy Piper is ready for him and sidesteps the Kid, hurling his opponent through the ropes and down onto the concrete floor. Hot Rod then grabs a chair and attempts to offer the Tonga Kid a chance to take a moment and rest, but misses the opportunity. Instead, Roddy Piper is knocked down, and the Tonga Kid goes up to the top rope and hits a splash. But instead of going for the pin like a normal person, the idiotic Kid instead grabs the chair that Piper offered to him earlier and begins to use it to attack the defenseless man. Thankfully, several wrestlers rush to the ring just in time to prevent serious injury from happening on Rowdy Roddy Piper. The Tonga Kid is a no-good hoodlum, just like his cousin. I want that kid fined, and I want him suspended. What a way for WWF Championship Wrestling to come to an end. It's usually Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling that gets my blood boil, and I'm already raring to go 10 rounds with whatever Jim Crockett Jr.'s Criminal Empire has in store. So let's see what happens. Bias Bob Caudle immediately greets us on commentary for a singles match between wanted criminal Mike Rotundo and Doug Vines. A quick elbow to the face of Vines leads to a near fall for Rotundo. However, moments later, Mike Rotundo does get his desired 3 count following an airplane spin. Immediately following the match, Bias Bob Caudle is backstage with the NWA 6-man tag team champions, Don Kernodle, Ivan, and Nikita Koloff. The Pride of the Carolinas and the Russian Bear have been duped into facing off against the American Dream Dusty Rhodes and his loser partner, the Raging Bull Manny Fernandez, for the NWA World Tag Team Championships. And that's not all. I can't even say it. Just watch.
Wait a minute. You talk about being tricked. We've got a tape of that. Let's show that signing right here.
All you gotta do is put the John Henry on this little piece of paper. I'll take it right now and I'll sign it right here, right now. You got a pen?
Wait a minute, I'll even open it up for you. There you go.
There you go, Crockett.
Thank you, thank you. Did you read this?
Listen, I've signed so many contracts in my life, world championship matches, I don't have to read nothing.
Well, I'll tell you what. You're going to need all the help you can get. The only problem is you won't get any help because you're going to be in a cage, young man.
A cage?
A cage! That rat, David Crockett, is always at the center of controversy, and I know that he had something to do with this. All Crocketts are corrupt. You know what? No matter. It's cool. You want a cage match that bad, Dusty Rhodes? You really want to be locked inside there with the NWA World Tag Team Champions, Fernandez? No problem. That way, none of your band of criminals can interfere in the match, and both of you will get a sneak preview of what it'll be like when you're both locked away behind bars. Assassin number 1, along with his manager Paul Jones, takes on that thief Johnny Weaver, who's currently masquerading as the Ultimate Assassin, wearing Assassin number 1's stolen mask. The Ultimate Assassin immediately starts the match off by rolling up Assassin number 1 and gets a near fall. He then latches a sleeper onto Paul Jones's client, but gets slammed into the corner for his efforts. While recovering, the Ultimate Assassin tries to rip off Assassin number 1's mask, but is unable to do so, and the larger man slides outside of the ring to strategize with his manager. Once back inside the squared circle, Assassin number 1 is hit with a body slam, followed by a shoulder lock, which Johnny Weaver transitions into a hammerlock that is eventually released. Now free, Assassin number 1 nearly rips the mask off of the Ultimate Assassin, but he's fought off with fists. During this melee, Paul Jones attempts to help his client by hitting Johnny Weaver from behind with his cane. However, that thief falls down to the ground, so Paul Jones ends up hitting his client, Assassin number 1. Oh no! In the confusion, Assassin number 1 is able to rip the mask off of Johnny Weaver, unveiling that criminal to the world. However, due to being knocked out thanks to Paul Jones's actions himself, Johnny Weaver gets the win over Assassin number 1. You'll pay for this, John Boy. You'll pay dearly. Mark Fleming takes on the raging loser Manny Fernandez one-on-one next, and as he makes his way down to the ring, Fernandez confiscates every single American flag that he sees fans in the crowd waving proudly. You see, only Manny is allowed to love America, and anyone else that displays patriotism is an affront to his fragile ego. A quick flying forearm secures Manny Fernandez the win. Backstage, bias Bob Caudle is standing by with Paul Jones along with the Zambuie Express. And instead of focusing on Mr. Elijah Akeem and Mr. Kareem Muhammad, I'll let you figure out as to why yourself, Bob Caudle instead asks Paul Jones, what just happened with Assassin number 1?
Paul, first of all, I got to ask you, what about Assassin number 1? What happened? We went out there to accomplish one thing, and we accomplished it. We got the thief Weaver's mask back.
That's right, mission accomplished. Assassin number 1's stolen property has been rightfully returned to him, and criminal charges are no doubt pending against that thief, Johnny Weaver. Paul Jones then begins to discuss the achievements the Zambuie Express have attained in Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. However, Assassin number 1 emerges and makes a complete fool of himself.
Don't you ever walk away from me and leave me like that in the ring again. You know, I'm getting just a little bit sick and tired of you and your Teutonic attitude. You try to run me, try to run my life, try to run my career in that ring. I don't need you or anybody else telling me what to do.
Assassin number 1 was completely out of line here, despite the fact that yes, it was probably his concussion talking for him.
As your boss, you know best of all that we don't hang our laundry out in the street. If you have any disagreement, I will deal with you later.
Paul Jones is right. You do not talk to your boss in such a manner, especially in the public eye. And Assassin number 1 is just so fortunate enough to have a manager that is so understanding. The NWA Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Champions, the Long Riders, who are accompanied by their manager James J. Dillon, have a rematch against Sam Houston and Bret Hart next in a non-title tag team match. Apparently, Hart and Houston are gluttons for punishment and didn't learn the lesson the last time they faced off against the NWA Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Champion Cowboy Ron Bass and Black Bart, so they get to learn it all over again. A quick power slam from Bart on Bret Hart secures a very quick and very impressive win for the Long Riders. Backstage once again, this time Bias Bob Caudle has the American Dream Dusty Rhodes standing by for an interview, and between now and Starrcade 84, the American Dream states he will be completely 100% focusing on winning the NWA World Tag Team Championships alongside his partner, the Raging Loser, Manny Fernandez.
Between that time, I owe something to the Raging Bull, Manny Fernandez, and that is the World Tag Team title.
Rhodes then contradicts himself and states that by the time Starrcade 84 does roll around, he will have every single major championship the National Wrestling Alliance has to offer.
By the time I get to Starrcade 84, I could be the United States Heavyweight Champion, I could be the World Tag Team Champion, I could be the Television Champion.
If you think that you can win anything more than a hot dog eating contest, you're clearly delusional, Rhodes. The new NWA United States Heavyweight Champion Chief Wahoo McDaniel takes on Joel Deaton one-on-one in a non-title match next. A quick suplex and an elbow to Deaton's head secures Chief McDaniel an easy 3 count. More tag team action is next as American Starship, Coyote and Eagle take on the team of Gary Royal and Tim Ellis.
Wow! Look at the build on this guy!
Keep it in your pants, David Crockett, you thirsty rat. Royal tries to lift Eagle up unsuccessfully and instead gets himself body slammed. Eagle then finishes Ellis off with a full Nelson after Tim tags himself in, all while Coyote holds Gary Royal up in the air helplessly. Bias Bob Caudle is standing by backstage again with another interview, this time with James J. Dillon and his tag team clients, the NWA Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Champions, the Long Riders. Dillon states that the upcoming match between the American Dream Dusty Rhodes and the Nature Boy Ric Flair, not only for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, but also $1 million at Starrcade 84, is going to make pro wrestling history. That's why he's the smartest manager in the wrestling business today. Dillon then states that the NWA Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Champions will also make history before Cowboy Ron Bass challenges all the young talent across not only Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, but also any area within the NWA for any tag team to come and challenge both he and his partner Black Bart for the NWA Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Championships so that they can successfully defend them at Starrcade and prove once again that this is Long Rider territory. Paul Jones is back and he tells Bias Bob Caudle that both he and his employee, Assassin Number 1, have cleared everything up in the locker room, and Assassin Number 1 has apologized for his embarrassing behavior demonstrated earlier.
He realized he was wrong. We got an apology, everything was straightened out. Everything's patched over.
Wait a minute.
I straightened everything.
Hey, and here's the assassin. Tell you something, Jones. You ain't gonna control me anymore. Do you understand that?
Whoa! I was willing to let bygones be bygones when Assassin Number 1 supposedly apologized to Paul Jones, but physically assaulting him like this? That's just unforgivable. Thankfully, the Zambuie Express are here to defend Mr. Jones against such unwarranted behavior. Oh, you're finished, buddy. You're dog meat, pal. You just signed a check that you can't cash. Not only should the NWA fine and suspend Assassin Number 1, but Mr. Jones himself should fire that rotund assassin from his services. The main event of Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling sees Tully Blanchard put his NWA Television Championship on the line, as well as his $10,000 against Mr. Personality, Brian Adidas. A body slam knocks the wind out of Tully Blanchard before Brian Adidas then catches the champion with an elbow to the face, but he can only manage a 1 count. Adidas then catches Blanchard coming out of the corner and puts him up for an airplane spin. Thankfully, the referee seems to be suffering some sort of midlife crisis outside of the ring, and therefore he misses the pin attempt. Since there's no ref, there's no conclusion to the match, Instead, Brian Adidas resorts to his criminal behaviors and steals Tully Blanchard's $10,000, throwing it out to the animals in the crowd who haven't even seen $10, let alone $10,000. Everyone in the crowd is an accomplice to Brian Adidas' criminal behavior. Call the cops. You know what? No, forget them. They're useless. Call the SWAT team. Call the National Guard. We need justice for Tully Blanchard. Biased Bob Caudle attempts to catch a word with Tully Blanchard, but Blanchard himself is so incensed at what just happened that he can't focus on the bile that Bob Caudle is spewing.
What do you call about Bob Caudle? Throwing my money to the people. He didn't beat me. And you steal the money and throw it to the people. These people don't deserve my money. Who's got the championship belt?
Blanchard's got it.
You're right, Bob Caudle. That's all that has to be said. Brian Adidas, you remember this. You're gonna pay for it.
Everyone will pay. The American Dream Dusty Rhodes and the Raging Bull Manny Fernandez will pay for duping the Pride of the Carolinas Don Kernodle and the Russian Bear Ivan Koloff to face off against them in a cage for the NWA World Tag Team Championships. The Tonga Kid will pay for weeks of trespassing only to get what he wants by whining and crying and then turn around and beat Rowdy Roddy Piper down with a steel chair. And Assassin Number 1 will pay for his embarrassing and appalling behavior alongside his threats, verbal accusations, and physical assault against his manager, Paul Jones. They'll all pay. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Tyler Vance Rants. You'll wind up paying in the long run if you don't hit the bell, like the video, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. You also don't want to pay the price for not following me on social media, where I share wrestling-related material daily. That's it for now, so I'll see you next week. So long. Gotta make sure the hair looks good. It's the most important thing. However, he does get the blah 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 blah. But Mr. Jones himself should fire. Just fire. The main event of NWA Mid-Atlantic Champ blah 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 blah.